Hello and welcome. Get comfortable because today you're going to be listening to the first episode of the Baddie and the Beard. My name is Sonozi, or the Beard, and I'm here today with James, aka the Baddie.
Hi.
How you doing, James? Hi. Obviously, before we started recording, we already talked a bit, and most of the things that we talked about were how are the cringy or bad podcast is going to be, because we are super inexperienced and we don't have any clue to what we're doing, to the point where we didn't really write down topics.
So this is going to be very cringe and very weird.
Yeah, exactly. But
it's going to be lovely.
Yeah, and you guys are here to enjoy that cringy ride with us. No, but seriously, I've been wanting to do a podcast for a while. And when I had to think of like the one person I know that would just ramble on and discuss like the most like useless and stupid things with people for hours on end, it would be you, James. So I was like, gotta get James in and just we're gonna do this. We're gonna get this started. And now we're here. I honestly didn't think I would actually end up doing this with someone, so much to my own disbelief, we are here.
Yeah, we are, aren't we?
Yes.
I never thought I'd be part of a podcast either.
Yeah, exactly. But is it something like you thought about doing at least like a few times? I mean, like maybe this like sounds fun to do.
No, honestly, I haven't thought about it at all.
I know, you're just like, Fanozi, what do you mean, a podcast? Like, yeah, James, a podcast. You don't know what a podcast is, bro?
No, I do.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't watch
personally, I like podcasts. I listen to podcasts myself, and it's really nice to just listen to while doing basically whatever you want to do, right? But without like holding up the actual like or extending the intro to be like more than like 10 minutes. Let's get into the actual topic that I just thought of, which is obviously me and James. We know each other through ICC. Now ICC is a ArmA free community, and we put it as community because we play other games that aren't just ArmA free, and we do a bunch of other stuff as well. So it's really more of a community rather than like a unit that specifically is ArmA free. And this is where we got to know each other, and this is something that I personally run with a bunch of other people. And I wanted to talk about how through like the improvised and like very much like learning through experience way, the community has grown over the last 3 years, and it's gone through name changes and stuff like that. And just kind of like I wanted to discuss like what your thoughts are on ICC's management specifically, and just how we run the community, and essentially how to badly run that community. I mean, what's your overall view of ICC? Because obviously, James, like you you're like one of our like leaders when we do in-game stuff, right? You like for people who don't know, ArmA free is like a tactical Milsim game. So you have these groups of people which we would call squads, and right, and this group of people need to be led, and James is like one of our like good leaders in the community, and he leads the people blush. Well. Yeah, exactly. And James, what's your experience with ICC, like in general? Right? Would you say it's well managed?
I'd say it's well managed, yeah, because you have a lot of people that are competent. You got Hawk there, you got Rod there, you've got good moderators there when they actually function. Like, I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, isn't it? And what I mean by when they like function is when, because I remember at least one time where there was no moderators on at all.
Yes, especially to start when we started out. To give you like a little brief history, obviously, right? We me and a friend of mine, Sean, it started like way back 3 years ago with something called a 22nd Scimitar unit, which ended up becoming 2nd Berserker, and then it didn't become ICC or the ICC community until we merged with you guys, because you guys had the acronym for idiots, which was a long name, which I don't know. Do you still know what that meant?
Yeah, I do. Do you want me to say it?
Yeah, good.
Incapable dickheads in overtasking situations.
Exactly, and it was very fitting, fit well with you guys, and we ended up merging, and that's how ICC became a thing. And I think only when we did the merger, that's when the community really grew. because you got a lot more people on, and I think right now we're like I've got to say this properly, so I'm gonna check and get back to it later. But we've grown like quite a lot since then, and I think that's especially really started kicking off after the merger. Mostly just to the amount of tasking you can give to people, right? You're not just doing it alone. It's not just 2 people running a small group. No, it's a bunch of people coming together. You have double the tasks now because you have 2 groups merging into one, and then you can do more. You can do bigger operations, as we call them. Which, I mean, James, like, how would you explain like operations to people that don't really play ArmA free, right? Or in general, like, how would you explain what we do as an operation?
Obviously, operations, like, we're using the military term of operation. So, because obviously you have the operating table operation, but no, that's not what we mean. So,
no, yeah, we're not like doctors or anything.
For us, we're using the military term of operation. So that means it's a big scale or a wide scale of things to do, right? Yeah. So, I'll give you an example. Like, anyone that's going to be listening and watching, you probably know what ArmA is, or you don't, so I'll explain it. So we have these maps. They're massive maps. You have mission makers who will then Zeus a mission that they have created.
And Zeusing is essentially...
It could literally be Black Hawk Down. Literally, you could be playing Black Hawk Down. You could be
the Zeus will like live edit that.
The Battle of Fallujah. You could be recreating all these battles of history, modern history, and these is what we call operations. It could even be made up things like Starship Troopers, for example. You know, where you go on. Yeah, literally. Do you want to live forever, apes? You know, that type of shit. You know.
Yeah, and I feel like definitely, like, I think we are very. How would you call it? I think we're very multi-themed in that. Is like you said, like, we do anything, but we do stuff from Starship Troopers to essentially.
If there was even a Harry Potter, we'd probably be doing Harry Potter too. Like,
yeah, so it's taking a military simulator game, which is so free in its sandbox and its workshop and its mods. And if you're any type of game, you know what mods are. You can basically accomplish anything with them, and it turns this. Like 2000, it's set in the year 2035, ArmA free, and it just takes that as like a base for a sandbox and just expands it beyond what you could imagine, which is why we end up doing any type of scenario you can really think of. By the way, to get back to the point earlier, I think the unit really grew from like the merger point, right? And right now, currently, so after about 3 or a bit more years, we're currently at almost 200 members, which is, I feel like 200 people is quite a number for a community. And I have to say it, obviously, not all of them play ArmA. We know that because we have a certain amount of like ArmA free active people, but like, people still communicate, right? And I feel like that's also a thing when you when we ran, at least when I with Sean together, we ran the unit, right? Which, because, you know, was second circuit before the merger, all that stuff. It was just like a group of friends, and it wasn't so much like detail on like the stuff outside of ArmA. Because if you wanted to do stuff with friends, you would say, yo guys, you want to play an RTS? Let's just go ahead. And essentially we took that mentality and applied that to ICC and saying, like, your main focus can be ArmA free, but like, we want to do other games. So people can like ping in a Discord server to play RTS games or play Dark Souls together. And stuff like that. And you end up with people, and this, I think, that's a big thing when like running the community or running a community. So you're gotta to actually get into the actual topic and get some concrete like things there. You're gonna have to make sure that the community that you're running has sustainability, because when you do ArmA free, it's a very operation to operation basis. So yeah, it's a lot of development to make the operations and the missions we play, and then you have to execute them, which takes a lot of prep planning. Who can go when? How's your schedule like what role do you want? What do you want to play as? Okay, you want to do this role, or you have to do the training to that because it's still a tactical milsim. You know, it's still a military simulator, so helicopter flying won't just be up and down and left and right. So taking all of that stuff into account, you have to make sure people don't get burned out on stuff. And the way we did that in ICC was we said we're going to do the other games section. So other games besides ArmA free, but also like more event stuff, or make sure that people can just talk in more social stuff. So it's not just all about the planning in ArmA free, because you see a lot of ArmA free units do that. They just go, here's the announcement channel, here's the channel where you can get information about all the stuff we do and when the operations are planned, and that's kind of just it, right? That's all they have in the Discord. And we have like all these social channels and stuff. And what that means is that even if people play and then they step out of ArmA free, right? They're burned out, they want to do something else, they can still be in ICC, but just be inactive in terms of ArmA, right? Because they can like kind of get back that motivation to play, get back that like desire to play, essentially. And after I'm James, I don't know how many hours you have in ArmA free, but like after my, what is it, like 3.5k hours in ArmA free, I feel like those like moments of burnout and like getting out of the game, which taking a breather and then going back into it, especially because obviously I do a lot of mission development, which is very intensive and it's long hours sometimes. It's very much like needed. Like, I don't know, have you taken a lot of breaks when it comes to like ArmA free?
I don't need breaks because my job makes sure I takes a break.
Yeah. I guess it also kind of depends on the age, obviously, that we have in the unit. Like a lot of the people in the unit are like either in school or just barely done. So,
or just
like,
studying college.
I would say there's a lot of people here that have like do like full-time jobs, so it's not currently.
I think I'm the only one that has a job of suffering.
I mean, you're in the military, so.
Yeah, the job of suffering.
Yeah, I guess. The military sounds, interesting to me, I would say. How would you describe your military experience so far? I mean, how long have you been in the military now?
Coming up to 4 years.
That is, that's some good work experience, but how's it been? Has it been tough? Because, you hear people say, like, it's the military, drill sergeant and all, you know?
It's alright. Like, the only tough part is if you make it tough.
What do you mean?
Like, if you're going to cause what we call snags or difficulties for other people, that's when it becomes difficult.
Yeah.
You know? If you're going to make it difficult for yourself by not actually doing proper admin, that's only making it difficult for yourself, you know? There's only so much your NCOs and that can teach you and drill into your head, literally drill into your head, for you to become a competent soldier. You know?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So at the end of the day, you yourself are to blame if your admin is shit. You yourself is to blame. I'd say more like 90% of times, because sometimes like there is that 10% where it isn't your fault, you know, because you do get shitty officers and other shit like that, but you don't care because, you know, they grew up in a high class society and decided to go to college and, you know, have this
fucking... That does sound privileged.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into that part, but anyway.
Yeah, no, but I mean, to me, right, if I were to get into the military, I feel like the training would be insanely like difficult. I think personally I wouldn't even enjoy the tasks you're given, like, always like guard duty or like patrol or even going to war. Like, even if that was a thing that I was sent out to do, I don't feel like I would enjoy going out there and like risking my life. But like to get back to what I was actually like wanting to talk about was like the training seems very difficult for military, like to get into the military, do basic, and then maybe like even like the more crazy stuff like special forces training. Like, that's insane. It's insane to me. Like, I watch those videos sometimes. I'm like, wow, like you can really push yourself like insanely far, right? Like, I don't know, like what was your training like?
My training, well, like to get into the military, it's not easy either. Like in the Irish Defence Force, like it is treated as a competition. Like, it is a competition to get in. If you are not part of the best, you're not getting in. Like,
so like pre-training,
if you decide, oh yeah, I'm just going to meet the minimum requirement for like just get the minimum amount of points for the interview or just barely pass the fitness test, you're not getting in.
Yeah.
You know, especially in the interview, they'll just see you as unmotivated. You know, and not a team player. You know, they love people that do Irish sports, obviously. Irish sports, the GAA, you know, Gaelic football, hurling, you know. Every officer loves people like that. They also love people that do martial arts. They love people that do sports or combat sports. They love that.
Could you just go up to like a sergeant, whoever, or the recruiter? Could you go up to them and then go like, hey, okay, I don't know if you know, but I did football, so like am I in? Like, is that how it works? Or is that just like a really...
No, it just goes to show, if you do football, right, it shows that you can run.
Right. So it's like a proof of fitness.
Like, it's a proof of fitness, and if you're part of a team that's either very well known in the footballing community in your country or something, for example, or is seen at a certain level as being the best at that level, then if you get an officer or an NCO that's interviewing you that knows that shit, you're going to be talking for an hour just about that, and that right there would be just you guaranteed a great interview, because it shows that you have an interest in what you do as well, you know, and it shows that you have a dedication towards what you do. So that means it'll probably translate that you'll be dedicated to the military and what you do in the military.
Yeah, maybe it's just like that I get those like super hardcore training serve from people that like do like mandatory serve, because I know it's like that's like a thing. Obviously, I'm from the Netherlands, so we don't have a mandatory serve for the military.
Like the Irish Defence Force is just purely volunteer.
Yeah, but I can imagine if you were drafted, right, or something like that. If you like you had to do mandatory military service, and then you need to do this training and stuff, you didn't actually sign up for it. Like I can imagine that's, I guess that's frustrating. Because you don't want to do all of this stuff. You have to do this stuff. For a lot of people, it would be. But you get countries like Finland, for example. Everyone does it. They don't have any problem. Everyone does it. No one really sees it as a problem. You know, Israel has conscription as well. You know, they get one or two people because of whatever reason, right? And then there's other countries like what other countries have? Switzerland. There you go. Switzerland has conscription. You know, Switzerland especially, very small country, has conscription. Yeah, I guess. You know, and to put it in perspective, the reason why they have conscription is because they're a small country. The same with Finland, you know. Yeah, no, yeah, I guess. Like, I feel like the mandatory service, like a mandatory military service thing, and just to me, it's a really weird concept. Now, let me rephrase that. Not necessarily weird. It's just something I can't really imagine, as we don't have it here. Like, if like the Netherlands were to get involved in a war, they would obviously. We have like something that's essentially like, if you're capable, you have to. You'll have to join, and if you can't do it, then your brother has to do it, or something else, or your sister,
somebody from your family or something.
There's also no difference here, like male female doesn't matter. We don't have like a separation there. So you know, like if you can do it, someone else has to do it in your family, or essentially the next person next to you. Like in Ireland, like if there was ever to be a war or anything like that in Ireland, it wouldn't necessarily mean the people will be called up. It won't. That's what we do have here, as far as I know, at least. You'll just see what, like, a prime example in Irish history is the Troubles. Like, the Troubles, if people don't know, was a 30-year conflict that started in Northern Ireland and did trickle into the Republic of Ireland. You had the Irish Republican Army and the British Armed Forces, and then you had other you could say aligned towards the British Armed Forces paramilitary groups who are also terrorists, right? And you got those groups, and you've got these two terrorist groups operating in Northern Ireland, which is part of the UK, for people that don't know. And they'll trickle into the Republic to do drug dealing, gun smuggling, you name it, murder, terrorism, assassinations. You know, they do all that. You know, the IRA, prime examples, they love coming over the border. Why? Because the British don't have a jurisdiction in the Republic of Ireland. So they love they're getting their guns here and everything. So we have to respond to this. Now, in the beginning, we had to send troops up to the border because refugees, tens of thousands of people, like, you wouldn't think it would happen, but tens of thousands of people left Northern Ireland and became refugees in the Republic of Ireland. You don't hear about that, and it's not very widely known. But a lot of people, the base where I'm in now at the moment, where I'm based with my unit and my company, there used to be over 1,000 people in that camp. 1,000. I'm guessing there's not a thousand now. No, there's not. There isn't, but we have set up other things for an event that has recently taken place in the world with Ukraine. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's been a real thing. It's been interesting. I don't think it's necessarily the smartest in terms of like and YouTube holding a fucking gun to my head right now saying, what are you going to talk about? But like yeah, I don't think it's something I necessarily want to get into right now due to how sensitive it is and stuff. But like, if that gets after a bit of time, I feel like it's more acceptable to talk about it with YouTube. It's a bit of a sensitive thing, but I do get what you mean. But it's interesting to see like that your view on training isn't the one that I have is like a non-military person. To me, training is like super hardcore drill sergeant stuff, and to you, it's more like it's not like mental. You need to do this stuff, and
the thing is,
it's up to you, right? It's a person to complete that training.
The thing with people make the mistake that it's all physical, and then they realize it's not all physical, and they leave. Why do they leave? It's because they didn't have the mental strength.
The mental strength. How do you build up mental strength?
Literally, NCOs in the Irish Army, well, my ones anyway, specifically say we will mold you. In other words, it's basically saying we will teach you how to become a soldier, and we will give you the mental strength to become a soldier. It's they literally want people who are mentally strong. Like, I by far wasn't the fittest person in my platoon in recruit training, but I was still in the section that was the fittest section in the platoon. The reason why is because teamwork, for one, made it easier for me, right? But number two is because I had this mental strength to go on.
That's good. I feel like you can use that outside of military as well. Like,
oh yeah, definitely. Martial artists have it. People who are managers, of a company or someone that sets up their own business, they have the mental strength as well, because it's a very stressful environment you're in. Regardless, especially if you're a manager, you've got probably over 100 employees to manage, and then you've got thousands of customers per day. That's a stressful environment. That requires mental strength, no doubt about it. And a good example is, I don't know if people are familiar with the shopping and supermarket Lidl.
Oh yeah.
Lidl.
We pronounce it differently, like even
but they hired about 100 or so, maybe even hundreds of ex-Irish soldiers to become managers. Why did they do that? It's because they have the experience of how to manage people. They have the mental capacity, and they have the experience of dealing with people and stressful environments.
Yeah.
So
that's weird. Like, imagine being like a supermarket chain, right, or like a company, and then you go like, oh yeah, we're gonna use.
Like, I'm not even joking. Lidl in Ireland literally targeted military personnel, ex-military personnel, or those who are just wanted to put in for their ticket.
It's just like, oh yeah, our shop this is so chaotic. No normal person can deal with this. We need someone who is like top
experienced,
tier, super
looking for better
like
pay,
mental strength.
But that's really hard to find. So where did they go? They went to the Irish Army. Why did they go to the Irish Army? Because we don't get paid all that much.
All right. No, it's very interesting. I mean, I kind of want to roll a little bit back to the ICC running the community thing, because obviously in ArmA 3, right, as we said earlier, it's a tactical Milsim shooter, and like I gave the helicopter example earlier, where obviously we don't like give super long trainings. I know units that give like trainings or that are like super long, or like there's ArmA 3 units where they take it so tactically and so like military and Milsim and like roleplay and all that stuff, where they would use like rank calling, but also have like, if you wanted to join that unit, you'd end up like needing to do I'm not kidding you here, like a 2 to 3 day course.
Like, here,
which is insane, right?
I'm going to put my 2 cents here. If you join a community, right, that's an ArmA unit, and they take literal ranks, literally, leave.
Red flag. Huge red flag.
Just fucking leave. Because they're going to be one of the most toxic communities you will actually join, and that is a fact. If you're on TeamSpeak, they want you to address them as sergeant. You're addressing a sweaty, fat-ass 14-year-old Reddit moderator, probably, and Discord moderator as lieutenant. I don't think so. Especially me, I don't think so. Yeah, I'm not addressing some sweaty-ass mother trucker as lieutenant. He's deserved none of that respect from me. He's deserved nothing like that. I just hate that shit. I hate
love how that gets you so riled up.
I hate it. It's just stupid. You play a video game. If you want to play Lieutenant, go and become one.
Yeah,
Instead of
exactly.
going off to little freaking 14-year-olds who are excited that they're joining the first ArmA unit and they get into the, like, I don't know what unit. And it's all, hoorah, I'm the sergeant.
Yeah,
That's
but
not fun.
It's funny. It's funny,
I have
right?
literally, there are literally very few people that have actually joined Idiots and ICC that came from that background and said that this community is far better. Why?
Yeah,
because I don't get you to address me as staff sergeant.
Yeah, I think most recently, to give a good example, I think about a guy, I don't know, I think he's from Africa, I'm not 100% sure, but as ICC is super, like, international, it's kind of a name, right? International Camaraderie Coalition.
It was like, either that or the gummy bears or something.
Yeah, some country, was from Africa. He used to be one of those units, and it's just like, he would get, like, strikes, right? Like a free strike system, which we also have, but like he would that would be for like a meme that or in it, like or posting a meme in general chat type level of like offense, or like stuff in op that just would make no fucking sense, right? Like you said, like the rank calling and stuff, and it's so stupid. But I feel like in ICC, right, I feel like we have a pretty good system here, because
we do.
To sum up our system here is
common sense.
Common sense as well. Yeah, but like in the actual like trainings that we give, right? Because there are stuff you need to be trained for, because we use modifications to the game that like make it realistic, like realistically fun. But it does mean you need to do extra
as
steps.
realistic as you can get it.
Yeah, or like as realistic, realistically fun in a game, right? Because obviously full realism is just not fun. But essentially, we have, once you join, like you're a trainee, right? You're a recruit. You get recruit training, which I mean, recruit training was like 20 minutes. Like
recruit training can, like I keep saying it to everyone. Like if you do a 20-minute training session, for me that's to a experienced player.
Yeah, exactly. It depends on the experience
Right.
of like the initial.
If the guy
recruit.
is new or not as well experienced with mod, he's got like, because I've trained a guy that has literally 1,000 hours of ArmA but never played with mods.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, but
and he's got no experience. So you gotta make leeway for the different types of people that are coming in.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I suppose in terms of like yeah, I say 20 minutes obviously, but that's like to the, like you said, to the experienced person. But like if you were to do a longer training than that, it's most likely due to ArmA itself, not our community, definitely, because ArmA Free is just it's a complex game. It builds a really great foundation to do whatever you want to, how to be as multi-themed as a unit as you want. If you like you said earlier, right, with the Harry Potter, like if that was a mod for Harry Potter, you could probably play it and it would actually be kind of fun in ArmA Free, or at least like
working on a
funny.
Minecraft op.
For example, right? Yeah, like I don't know if you see if I didn't play ArmA Free, right? You told me like, you know, so I don't know how to explain it to you, but like I'm really excited for next Saturday because we're gonna do a military simulator, but in like Minecraft style. We'll all be playing as like Steves or something, and killing creepers, whatever, right? And it's like, what? Like I would be so confused, and that's the fun thing. Like you can do anything, but I feel like for our trainings, right, you get in here, you do the basic training. It's like 20 minutes, and if it's longer, if you're inexperienced, obviously new to the game, we give you like the full course on what you need to know. We won't go into like the caliber of a fucking bullet because we're not that Milsim. We go into what is useful. So like we'll go into like what proper cover is to use, because in ArmA, if you send it in this tiny shit, you're gonna get shot. But
the way I describe our training for Nosy is a tutorial for new guys and how to use the mods. That's the best way to describe our training.
Yeah, and I like the tiny things that are like actually useful. Like the caliber of a bullet isn't going to help you much, but knowing what cover to use, like if you're in like a thin like shed or like one steel plate or something, not like one like plate, like that's all like rusted and shit, and you go like, yeah, this is proper cover. Like in any other video game it would be, but it isn't in ArmA. You need to get an actual sandbag or something like a concrete wall, because those bullets will pass through that shed. And that stuff we do teach, but like we won't go into like the caliber of a bullet. I feel like that's just the worst thing I've heard.
Or the ballistics of every single
like explaining fucking aerodynamics to people
in the entire arsenal and mods of ArmA. We are not doing that, and the simple reason is because it's one, cringe, and two, very difficult.
Oh yeah, but definitely like armor-free arsenal, and to kind of explain what that is, like it's like loadouts. Like if you've ever been Call of Duty or something, you know you can make your own loadout. But in ArmA,
I describe Arsenal as the toy box.
as the toy box, yeah, because that's a bunch of stuff in here. But to kind of give you an idea of what it's not like, it's not really like Call of Duty loadout, because you can grab anything you want with any attachment you want that obviously fits in your weapon. Like there's a little difference between like a weapon with a reel on it and not. Like so, it obviously gives you more options. But like from your vest to what color the vest is, to like one vest having like 24 different variations for where the mags are if the other has grenades on it and stuff like that. So it's very in depth. And the thing with like a lot of mission makers do, so the people that make these operations and missions in ICC community, is they limit it. So it's pretty interesting kind of to segue into the whole Arsenal thing, because it's a huge discussion in the armor free community. I think it's always been and will always be, because you have units and such communities that use full arsenals, which is everything, but you got to keep in mind that with like base game, that's not too bad, but add like a few mods, like the big ones that if you don't play ArmA you won't know what this means. But RHS or Cup, essentially these really big mods that add like a lot of things, from weapons to vehicles to uniforms to vests, everything. If you add those, you're gonna basically be paralyzed with the amount of options. And if you join a mission and everybody's getting ready doing loadout and people tell you, yeah, you get this specific kit and camo, you'll have trouble finding the right camo in between the list of camo with variation 1 to 60. Like, so what a lot of mission makers do, right? They cut it down. They either pre-make the entire kit or they cut it down to only cosmetics.
Exactly.
And I think
you know what we used to do in Idiots?
Tell me.
Before an op, right? The op team would get announced, the type of op, as you would do in operations, right? But they'll have a picture underneath of what the kit is to look like, and you have to go into the arsenal, the Ace arsenal, right, and actually make your kit and save it. That's the way we used to do it, because we didn't know how to at the time set it up properly to where you could save it and then you spawn in that kit anyway, you know. But now obviously with the experience now that everyone's gone, they obviously know how to do that now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we have such a great system because obviously everything in ICC is very like open and freedom, right? Like I feel like we've put a lot of emphasis when running the community on it's very everything is a democracy in that sense. Like everyone decides together. I feel like someone made a really funny comment yesterday on the suggestion channel we have for mods and or these things generally in the community we want to see, like suggestions, right? Makes sense. It's in a name. They one of the people in there, I think it was Tex, I'm pretty sure. Tex, if you're listening, hello. But so Tex said, well, you're the owner, why don't you just add it? And I feel like that was such an interesting thing, hearing that, right? Because like technically, yeah, I got, like if you go on the Discord you would say like I got the owner tag, but like it means nothing to me compared to like any of the other people that manage the community, because it's like and this is something someone else also mentioned this about this. I think it was the same guy actually that like the African guy that like complained about the Milsim Unit. He was in before, right? They had the same thing. They had like a mod team, but like it was like a very either dictatorship or mods not like fighting over power essentially, right? And we don't have that ICC. Like if like your opinion, James, would have the same amount of like worth as mine. And because of that, I feel like the community is pretty well balanced. It's a very like great and chilled experience to be in the ICC community. Obviously, it's going to sound very biased coming from me, but but I think that's mainly due to the reason. That's mostly because we communicate well. If there's something going on, we can talk about it essentially. Like if there's something that needs to be changed, it's talked about. If we have stuff happening during the op, we have a whole system in place to make sure the op can keep going, and like two players don't fucking like rip each other's throats out or something, because it does happen that sometimes people just don't mix well, they don't have good chemistry, and you got to deal with that,
or you're just having an off day.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean I want to bring this up, James, because specifically because I'm here with you, I want to bring this up because I feel like we had an incident like that, right? Where we're doing a Starship Trooper op, and I made that mission, and I gave people grenades, and that was the worst decision I ever made, probably.
Literally the worst decision you could ever do. Give a bunch of monkeys grenades, and rocket launchers. Yeah,
but like, explain how that went. What happened? What went wrong, man?
Let me think. I said don't do it. Then Hawk said don't do it multiple times. But people kept
by the way,
doing it, and my patience
is not
worked in.
RSL.
And then that's where the drill sergeant came out. Literally, I was going to get a brush whacked across my head. I was being that loud. My mother didn't like me that entire night.
Dude, I'll fucking link the clip below, probably, but or something like that, because that clip, like your mic just clipping out, right? You just screaming at the top of your lungs. The stop throwing grenades. It's amazing. Like everybody just went quiet. No one said a thing.
Even Mir had the freaking laugh of nervousness.
Yeah. And he's one of the more stricter guys as well, right? Because I feel like if you were to like look at leaders in the community, I feel like there's a really big spectrum of like leaders that we have, right? Like
I'm the best
if you look at you, you're very much on the strict side of things.
Me?
Look at Harry. Yeah. Look at you.
I put it
like
strict
right?
because I know people won't listen to me if I am like not strict, you know, but that don't mean for the people listening that I don't have fun or let people have fun, you know, because I have like when I do squad leading, I have the overall responsibility to make sure everyone has fun as much as the mission maker does as well, because in our missions I don't get told a linear thing. I get to do whatever I want once I'm given an objective. I can approach it whatever way I want, I can take it whatever way I want, and I can kill whatever I want if that is the mission.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, and I feel like that's such an important thing about leadership. And again, I have to kind of make this relatable to people that don't play ArmA, because we want to obviously not put ourselves as a podcast into the niche trap, right, of just ArmA free. Even though we talk about it a lot, I'm trying to make this relatable for anyone, right? If you're playing with a group of people, you could literally be your friends, right? There's always like leader type, and if you're playing something like Apex, and this guy says we're gonna drop here and we're gonna do this and this and that, and you know, if you don't play Apex Legends, it's important where you drop on like the first thing. And you know Fortnite, you know, where you drop's important, different weapons. I don't want to use Fortnite as an example because it's really bad. I hate the game, very cringy, but like, so that's why I was using Apex Legends to begin with. But you drop somewhere that's important. So usually one guy, the leadership type, makes that choice, and I feel like that's very much like you can reflect it in ArmA free leadership as well. Besides something I also want to get into later, which is like respect and like authority, which are two different things. But to finish this one thought up first, if you didn't know, I have ADHD. If you didn't notice already, this is why I'm super chaotic with this stuff. But that person that would say like drop in there, they're gonna like dictate and control what your experience is in the game. They're gonna say like, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do it that way. So let's say your squad lead, so they're gonna hill with another squad, and they go like, well, we'll do Overwatch, but it's like only like a close range thing, and it's only a clearing buildings and stuff. That guy in the squad on the hill is gonna be bored, and that's up to the leader. So it's kind of like you said earlier, right? Like it's like that responsibility essentially of the leader to make sure people have fun. And if that means I can go out and kill things, we'll do it effectively, but we are going to kill things. I'm going to make sure everyone gets to shoot at least a one or two guys, like at the very, very fucking minimum, or at least suppress a fire with like a machine gun or something, right?
Yeah.
And like, I feel like that's really cool. But where the leadership types come in there, right?
With Baddie's RP PvP VE.
Oh right, yeah, RP. That's very interesting.
At the moment on Isla de Walla,
yeah.
You know, because people complain that I was on guard duty at the base the whole time. Well, yeah, but at the same time, me as leader, I have the RP diplomacy. I have the RP being the president or whatever as well, you know. And if I get you doing guard duty, it's because the other a-holes are literally night attacking us with MVGs, and while we don't have anything, we are literally the Taliban.
To give a bit of context to this, by the way, is there's currently a open world campaign we're doing, essentially, where there's like one big map and there's different factions, and it's like people building on their own rebellions and stuff, and there's even the UN included, and there's a press team that basically like makes literal newspapers, which is really fun to see, by the way. Keep up the work of the press team. It's really fun to see. People make their own strategies and stuff.
It's like a GTA
type of thing. But yeah, like you said, like the whole RP thing is very it's interesting, but like I feel like because we make very clear what type of operation it is, because we rarely do like RP things. I would say I think that's a very rare occurrence, unless it's like a very specific campaign we do, and even then that's pretty rare, I guess. Still, however, the fact that you like see that it's an RP thing, it's like choosing to do it. So I feel like if people say like I want to go on guard duty and it's a very player controlled environment, right? I feel like you kind of chose to do that though. Like if you don't like RP, don't join the RP session. That's I guess one issue with like ICC sometimes, like when you do an RP thing, people join for the sake of just joining an op and playing, right? Or an operation mission, sorry. And then they go like, oh, well, I didn't like the op because like it had RP in it and I'm not an RP person. And I'm like, okay, cool, but it did say RP. If it wasn't your thing, do I take this as feedback? Because we also have a feedback thing, right, James?
Every time I just think of RP, I still go back to that random ass sphere I had to talk to in one of your ops. Remember that? Odium?
Yeah. That's true. That
was so scuffed, but it was so funny. That was my first exposure to RP as well.
Yeah. I mean, it was fun because I was trying to use a voice changer on like a soundboard thing and it didn't work because I keep cutting out my mic. So you had no idea what you did.
And it was
you were like,
it's very hard to understand. I literally had to I've got the video up on my channel.
Oh yeah,
it's
let's go check it out.
Odium, right?
Yeah, go check it out. And so cringe.
I had to subtitle everything, and it took me 3 hours to subtitle the entire thing.
Oh god, I feel so bad now. No, but that's real interesting. To get just kind of like rewind back to the leadership thing though, because I was gonna talk about this. Because I think it's very important, and I would like to see like what people's opinion on this is, and including yours as well, obviously, because like we're here now, and I would love to hear your opinion on the idea of leadership with an ArmA 3 or any other game you play, like let's say Squad or anything Milsim-ish, right? I feel like it's very much based on like respect you have for the leader. I'm thoroughly convinced that you have no authority over the people you lead in the video game, right? But if people trust you and respect you, and then trust in the sense of like knowing that they're gonna make sure you get a good experience, you get to the good parts of the game, that what they do aren't just stupid like quick-witted decisions or something like that, right? It's the trust and respect you have for that person that makes you follow them and makes them your leader.
I remember Squad leading, right? This is well before I joined Idiots or anything. I played a lot of Squad just on my own, right? On public servers, right? And I took SL spot one day. I didn't lead like an SL.
At all?
No, not at all. I just said, hey guys, the commander just wants us to go take this place. Let's just go over there and fuck shit up. And everyone was like, yeah, fuck yeah, and we were the insurgents. Like we'll just get IEDs and mines and just plant them around and just troll the other team. Like I do remember one whole squad rage quit.
Yeah,
because it's actually really funny. It actually happened in one of the ops, joint ops that Idiots did. The PvP one, you probably remember.
Oh right, was it the merger before the merger where we did like exactly. So we had a big PvP event where it's basically before the merger. We wanted to see, I think like the mod teams from both units were both like because back then we're still units, right? We were both like we want to see if we're compatible, so let's do a PvP thing. Because if anything in ArmA 3 PvP, it's usually pretty competitive and toxic. I feel like because it's just not a game that's designed for PvP. But we did this like big PvP event, including a third party that was controlled by AI to fill up the empty sections of the missions operation, and it was purely just to see if we could get along. And if that was a fucking great op, by the way, that was really fun. It's probably one of the best ones that I've played in ArmA, just because of the sheer fun and I guess sportsman like ship we had during that op. I guess I don't really like,
and the fact that you know Idiots did win that op.
Well, that's debatable.
Yeah.
But to a degree, I can't really even get into it because I was choosing, right?
So
like I wasn't even leading.
Like it was so long, and it was literally us on the back foot for a while, but at the end we had destroyed all of the second Berserker equipment from both their tanks being out of commission. They had no air assets, they barely had any AFVs, and they had basically light-skinned APCs left that were unarmed. You know, they had no real assets besides their person.
Yeah, we ran out of vehicles at some point because I don't know, it just didn't really plan it well. But I feel like this is an interesting thing, right? Because that would be classified as a joint op, right?
At the time, it would have been classified as a joint op.
At the time, you would classify it as joint op. And I feel like after the merger, and we became ICC, we had a name change, and we kept the second Berserker unit, Discord, because it had like most members, etc. We made a bunch of deals, and it was great. The merger went pretty smoothly, I would say.
It did, yeah.
But what was fun is we had more people, which means we could also expand our own network. So now, essentially, we had to find the new idiots or the new second Berserker, depending on what point of view you're looking from, right? So we found this French unit, and PsyOps, which is great people, by the way. This is kind of like the thing, right? Which I wanted to mention was it's so fun that ArmA free allowing like it allows for such like widespread like networking and communities to basically reach out to each other as well, and then say like, let's do an op together. So let's say you have 60 both, you could do PvP. Let's say you have less, you could do combined arms thing, or you could combine both your forces and do like a big like assault thing or something. And it's so cool that two communities that just play the same game can play so differently, but also have to learn to work together, and that dynamic socially is just great. And the funny thing here is why I mentioned PsyOps is that they're a French unit, so they have one guy that speaks English.
And that was what was so funny as well. Everyone else was just there. Merci, and he's just going, hi, hello, thank you. And
so
he's the translator for us.
The communication
we had one guy that could speak French. Zip, you remember Zip?
Oh yeah,
I say he defected towards them because they were French speaking, and it would have been a lot easier. His English was actually
we've always
decent,
been open to multi-uniting.
He went over there because he had a lot of fun with the French unit, and he stayed with them.
I think he's still there, so it's great.
He still interacts, yeah.
Even that was caused by like him finding the proper unit for him. That's great. I have like no problems with that. That's why one of the reasons again that like multi-uniting has never been really an issue with us is like it's just not an issue with us, right? Like multi-uniting, it's very interesting because I know a lot of units are against it, but like then again, it's your own playtime, right?
Yeah, it is your own playtime.
But yeah, it's to real quick get back on the joint up thing, right? So basically, the language barrier was huge. I had one guy give me a brief, and I remember needing to take notes on what like these terms were for radio communications, on like what CAS was and what this was and what that was. And by the way, after first operation, there's a video out on my channel. You can check it out. It's fucking hilarious in terms of like French and English communication and not knowing each other's languages. But essentially, right, we ended up doing pretty well. But it was so much fun to see how a different like their unit worked compared to ours, but we're still playing the same thing. And I feel like again it just shows how much of a great sandbox ArmA free is.
And because the fact that they can literally play the way you want. As well as that they put all their loadouts in a public loadout in the arsenal.
Hey, that's mad respect.
You know, that's just different the way we do things. Everyone creates their kits and we spawn in them. Where in PsyOps, you spawn and you have nothing. You just have this basic uniform. You have to go over to the arsenal, go into public loadouts, and pick the class you want. You know, if you want to be a machine gunner, they've got a loadout for that. Rifleman, squad leader, JTAC, you name it. It's all there. In public loadouts.
Yeah, and that shows like how they do it. It also works. How we do it also works. Yeah. But obviously we know there's bad ways to do stuff. But like how they run their community works as well as how we run it to a degree, obviously. And we, I think like you can take stuff from each other, and I feel like just ArmA free is a base for that. Like a fun. It's like how would I explain it? ArmA free just creates opportunities to meet other people. It creates opportunities to experience something maybe historical together, or it creates opportunities to just experience something you wouldn't experience in any other game, because it's about that cohesion, the teamwork, the experience, whether that's the standing next to each other and like having like voice based on location, which is already immersive enough, or they actually have pressure on you as an AT guy to take care of the, you know, anti-tank role for that op, because if you don't, your team's gonna suffer from it, right? And there's extra consequence to your stuff. So if it's so many different factors that I'm not gonna completely get into it now, but there's so many different factors to make ArmA 3 such a complex game, and then there's so many reasons why ArmA 3 works, and I feel like ArmA 3 just creates so many opportunities for gamers to experience something new, something unique in this vast landscape of many different games. So I think that's just fucking great, and it's a great game.
And with that as well, like even, I don't know, like ArmA 3 is there, you know, at the end of the day, it's a tac milsim shooter. And the fact that you'll meet people that'll probably play other tactical shooters like Ready or Not and Squad are quite high, and you get to play a vast like array of games with them as well.
Exactly, that's really fun. Like, obviously, ArmA 3 isn't the only Milsim game that we play. It's also all these other people playing all these other games that just are kind of similar in a way, but just like, again, they create a unique experience. It's not like your super casual shooter, super arcadey stuff. Like, take the arcadey stuff out, and you actually have to perform, right? And I feel like if you can balance that, like if you can balance the fun and like needing to perform because there's like a certain role you need to fulfill, I feel like you can do great operations missions, whether that's in Ready or Not, or in like Squad, or in ArmA 3, or any other Milsim game for that matter. I feel like the Milsim, the tactical shooter, to put it maybe in a better word, it's such a great experience in general. Which, I mean, in terms of like those other games that we play, I mean, if we do play more than just Milsim, right? Like, it's not just Milsim games. I mean, I don't know why, because I'm personally not a big fan of it, but RTS games, like, to me, they aren't like my taste at all. Right? I know you played some Yu-Gi-Oh, but I don't know what like
Yu-Gi-Oh. I wouldn't call it an RTS really. It's just
no, like, it's not really RTS, but like I had to make an RTS channel for the people, right?
Like some people would say, yeah, it's a tactical card game. No, it's not. Have you not played Yu-Gi-Oh?
No, but
like literally, if anybody comes to me and they play Yu-Gi-Oh and they say it's tactical, no, it hasn't been tactical since 2004.
No, I didn't mean to like use an RTS game, but it was more like referencing to the fact that I had to make a completely different new text channel on the Discord for RTS gamers, because there's just so many RTS games that I keep playing, and you know, but like, obviously, because it makes sense if you run an ArmA 3 community that you would play, you know, ArmA 3 related games like Milsim games, right? Tactical shooter games. So, but like the RTSing part is huge in ICC. I feel like there's so many people play together.
Yeah, a lot of people play Dawn of War. A lot of people play Total War. You know, there's you just have all that. Although Total War, in my opinion, just is gone bad. That's just my opinion. But you've got Men of War. You've got what's it called? Lee was playing it there freaking 2 weeks ago, I think it was, a week ago. What's it called?
But yeah, no, I get your point. Like, essentially, this Dawn of War is
bug
pretty
me
big
now until I find that out.
So you can look it up. But no, I feel like just RTS games, like, okay, I say that I don't like it, but I have to admit, I have a history with RTS games. When I was a kid, I used to like sort of religiously play StarCraft 2 on like a competitive level together with my brothers. And that's why I can't really say I don't like RTS games. I just feel like I've lost the I lost the joy in it. Like I don't see the appeal in RTS anymore. It feels tedious and like just like a drag to me. It's always these long.
I found it. It's
like
called
that.
Call to Arms.
Oh, Call to Arms. That's what he played. Yeah. So I don't know. To me, RTS games always just they have been fun, and they can do, you know, they can again show.
The thing with me and
gaming
RTS
experience,
games, right? I started playing them. The first RTS game I played was actually on the PlayStation 2. Age of Empires.
Oh right, yeah.
Age of Empires on the PlayStation 2.
Yeah, but that's so boring to me. Like at least StarCraft was fun.
And I played the living hell out of it. Like, I mean, I played it for hours when I was a kid. Like, hours. I remember going into
you were addicted
the shop,
to it.
And I just remember seeing this PlayStation 2 game had kings and medieval lords and archers and everything cool about it.
Right. I mean, but that I kind of had the same thing with StarCraft. I was like, oh, the space, and look at these like disgusting, like just these horrible, ugly, like fugly looking monsters and stuff. We had this cool like space marine type of fit dudes, you know, they like the Marines of StarCraft, like these huge suits, and kind of reminded me of 40k, which I wasn't really into 40k back then, but like Warhammer 40k was at least something I sort of knew about back then. But like StarCraft 2, it just had such appeal to me. And I played it, I loved it as a kid, but right now it's just like if I were to play any RTS, it would be StarCraft 2. And it's like I didn't play like the latest DLC that came out because that's kind of around the time where I stopped like completely. But you know, honestly, just talk about I want to go back and play it, right? I want to go back and play StarCraft 2, but like not for the RTS element, but just because of StarCraft 2. Because any other RTS, it just feels tedious to me. Like especially Age of Empires, the concept of it, the gameplay, it just seems boring to me.
The proper time I actually played an RTS game and I actually it was really good and entertaining, and then it was boring, was the Total War franchise.
The Total War franchise, right?
Like
right.
I loved Shogun 2. Loved it. Loved Rome, right? The original, right? Because they did a remaster and that wasn't very good, right?
Yeah.
And now you've got Warhammer. I haven't played the first one, but I do think from what I've seen it was a good base. Then Warhammer 2 was Warhammer 3 dog shit.
There was one Warhammer 40k game that was excuse me. It was essentially an RTS, but it had this like co-op survival mode, which I did play with two of my friends, Sean and Christian. We did play a lot of that like co-op game because it was really fun. But it's not the RTS element of the game. It's just the co-op part of it, with like the cool weapons and like the way that it's still RTS controls and stuff, but it's not the actual RTS of it. And that's what made it fun. I didn't feel like tedious or like a sludge to get through.
Like an interesting game that I'd actually want to play in the like Warhammer universe would be Vermintide. I actually haven't played that.
We should play that. Like Vermintide 2, I played that with Panda, and I played it together with Sebastian as well later on. And Sebastian was like the you know when you play a game and then you just like you invite that one friend over, and then he's like, so this is actually how the entire game works. That's basically how it went. Vermintide 2 is great. It's if you want to spend the time getting all the best gear, you can do it, but it's not necessary. It feels very freedom. Like you have a lot of freedom in the game and what you want to do. The story is great. The DLCs are okay, I guess, if you want more of the story, but generally if you just buy the game for like base game, it's a great experience. Like it was so good that if you were to say like, you know, I've heard about Vermintide, it seems interesting. I'm telling you right now, it's good. It's a great experience. I probably won't really forget about it because every time people mention it, I remember how good of a time it was. So the game must be good, right? So I mean, all I can say is I recommend it. Vermintide 2 is great. Any of the Warhammer games are pretty much just like good to a degree because it's Warhammer, but the really good ones, the ones that really stick with you, I think there's few of them that like properly stick with you. I would say that the Vermintide thing, which I guess feels kind of spin-off-ish, is still a great like Warhammer experience. It still has the same vibe to it.
I like the lore.
You like the Warhammer 40k lore?
Like no, honestly, I watched videos on just the Warhammer lore for quite a while, like the Book of Cohort,
right?
That YouTube channel, I watched that a lot. I did. Now I'm watching. I think it's Kings and Generals. They actually have a series on the Warhammer lore and how I think it's Karl Franz. No, it was Sigmar. How he became a god essentially, and that cult delved around him, and they're going into Karl Franz as well in the future, you know, and how he became the emperor, his early life, and all that lore and the story of the characters. Actually really, really good. I love the lore of 40k.
The lore in 40k, obviously, because the way I actually got into 40k, right, like properly got into it, is because the mods on Armor 3 became pretty big on it, and I wanted to make ops on it. And I remember that people just were like, well, if you do make one, you gotta make a lore accurate, because the lore is just good, not because you need to, it was like it needs to be historically accurate that type of deal, but just because the lore makes sense, the lore makes it fun. So adding a Space Marine and letting players play a Space Marine just means you gotta balance it out. But it is really fun, so don't like not use them just because you think they're too OP. No, it's just their lore, their entire existence. It's cool. It's amazing to play as it. It's like a kid's dream, essentially, right? So when I was making it up, they would send me these. I think it's Bricky. I'm not sure what that YouTube is called, but basically he made a few like videos that were pretty long, like 30 to 40 minutes each, in like 3 parts, explaining all the basic factions of it. And just getting the explanation on the basic factions of Warhammer 40k is just such an eye-opener to anything I've known about video game lore. Like, it's probably the best video game lore that I've ever like read / heard, just watched. It's just great, and the community around it is awesome. All I've heard is that the studio's kind of like on it, the way to deal with fan-made stuff, but I'm not too much an expert on that side of the Warhammer 40k community, so I won't go too much into it. But Warhammer lore is just amazing in how expanded it is, how big it is, and also how much bullshit they can still keep like making up essentially, right? Because it's kind of a mess. However, it's still kind of grounded in its roots. I feel like everything still like makes sense. Even like you were to read the start of the book and then the end of the book, if it was every piece of lore was put into like one book, right? They would. It would still make sense at the end, but you'd just be like, yeah, it really like went far off the path that it started on. That's for sure. Yeah, no, I don't know. I feel like Warhammer lore is great. That Bricky video you could probably find if you Google it. Like he did this like great explanation of lore. I think it is more different lore videos, but like this the way he explained it and everything. I was like super intrigued in Warhammer 40k lore. And it's great inspiration for mission making as well. For making operations and missions, it's great for like, you can just read a piece of lore and go, look, yeah, I can make that into an operation. People will love that in the armor free setting. Oh god, I almost dropped my ball. But yeah, people love that in the armor free setting. That's great. Anyway, James, it has been amazing to actually record this first session. I have to say, I was very nervous when like starting out, as I was pretty vocal about it, I'm pretty sure.
Guys, I'm not joking. This guy texted me 5 times on Discord while I was in work.
Yeah. But no, genuinely, like I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing this. I feel like it's really a thing of getting comfortable, and I hope people that are listening to this right now are comfortable listening to it, and that our mics aren't shit, and that the inexperience, it doesn't show too much. And
yeah, my mic better not be shit. Somebody says my mic is shit. I bought this new. I only bought this not even yesterday, like last week, just for you guys. So if you say my mic is shit, I'm gonna slap you.
It depends on how Mr. Fanozi over here is gonna edit it, but yeah, no. I feel like for first episode, obviously, I want to hear you guys' reaction feedback, because we would love to improve and actually, be experienced at the end of the road, and let us hear your thoughts on all of it. Let us know what you thought about the topics. Obviously, if you're watching on YouTube, there will be timestamps and chapters, so you can easily skip through all the stuff that you don't care about and skip to the stuff that you do care about. That being said, James, I'm proceed with the super generic podcast outro. So if you enjoyed listening to our podcast, be sure to subscribe on our YouTube channel, leave a like and share it. Obviously, this helps us out, helps us grow, and it makes us, probably a better podcast at the end of the year, probably. Also, we are on Anchor, and you should probably also follow us on Spotify to make sure that those same goals are met that I mentioned earlier. So I don't know. If you have like ideas, what we should talk about, like topics, let us know. We will gladly like incorporate some of your feedback and your topics into this. Like if you have anything, either like I want to hear your opinion on this, Fanozi, because you have shitty opinions and I want to make fun of you. Go ahead, let me know. If you want to hear some Irish guy like just get completely mad on the fact that Milsim trainings are a thing and that Milsim units take it way too far, just mention the word Milsim in the comments and he will go ballistic.
I don't mind Milsim. It's just Milsim gone too far.
See, works like a charm. That being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. James, you want to say anything else?
No, I think you touched all the bases. Yeah. But literally, comments down below, guys. Give us tips how to improve as well, because we will be reading your comments.
All of them.
And I might troll you in the comments too.
I might print them out and put them above my bed.
Oh god, that is creepy.
Yeah. No. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you
Thanks,
guys in the next
Bye-bye.
episode. Bye bye.